Hi YouTube, welcome to Pagan Perspective. I am Megan, aka Sabiristry, and today we're talking about circles. Hi YouTube, welcome to Pagan Perspective. I am Megan, aka Sabiristry. I am your Friday host, and this week we are talking all about circles. So the question is basically, what can you put in a circle? How do you put it up? What are the rules about it? That kind of thing. And we've had some really amazing videos this week. So I thought that for me, I would just sort of give you what I do to cast a circle. So what I would do to cast a public ritual that is a circle. As you guys know, I'm a hereditary witch, so the way that I would cast a circle is a little bit different. We don't even really call it casting a circle. It's different than that. But I do put up a circle. It's really important in public ritual. You need to be able to contain the space, create a sacred space, and it's essential. So I have sort of a modified, if you would, modified casting that I like to do for more public rituals that would include anybody, friends, and just even the general public, depending on where or when I'm doing this. So for the first part of it, you need to find a space that works for you. One of the things that can get in the way when you're trying to do a ritual is not having enough space. So if you're doing this, with a bunch of other people, make sure that all those people fit into that space easily and you can get all the way around them. It's really important. You need to be able to move freely within the space. If you're doing it for a solitary, it's a little bit easier. There is a modified casting for a solitary ritual that basically, if you think about it, sort of like a hula hoop. I guess that's the way I look at it. If you were to be sitting and you were to grab a hula hoop in your hands, right? And then you flip it over yourself so the ring goes over you, that is a solitary casting of the circle. So that's a way to sort of put that circle up. To give you how much space you would actually need for it. You really don't need that much. In fact, you can even put up a circle that's kind of vacuum formed to yourself. It doesn't have to come out from yourself. However, we're talking about a bigger ritual. So make sure you have enough space and that you can freely move around. In the question, it also talked about, can you have an altar in or out of the circle? Again, this is what I would do. So there are lots of ways to cast a circle. So we've had videos all week on that. And this is just my public ritual way. And that is, yes, the altar has to be in the circle in order for you to work with it. So because I have a working altar, means everything that I need, I put on the altar. So it's important that the altar is within the circle so that I can easily access everything. So I also need to be able to walk around the entire perimeter of the circle. And that can be difficult if there's not enough space. So that is number one. Number two is to make sure that you have some way for the people that are there to define the outside rim of the circle. So when you're doing something in public or with a big group of people who maybe aren't as in tune, they can't always sense the outer boundary of the circle and they might walk right through it. And for those of you that have ever had a circle up and somebody's walked right through without cutting a door, you know that that's an energetic, punch in the gut. So, you want to have something that can define that outer rim for you in a public setting. So sometimes that is all the participants actually form the circle. So they hold hands and they form it. Or you can always have something like sprinkling lavender and rosemary in a circle. You can draw it on the ground. You can dig it into the sand. If you were, say, on a beach, you can just draw it out. So there's a lot of different ways in which you can define the boundaries of the circle, but just make sure that everybody who's participating understands that that is the boundary and to not just walk out of it. If they need to, you could always cut a door and have that be their opening out, but remind them, hey, this is a ritual. It's not going to last that long. Please don't just come and go. It's going to be difficult for us to maintain the circle if a lot of people are just coming and going. So That's kind of one of those Circle 101 things. So next, you want to talk about your opening sequence, I guess. And the opening sequence for a lot of people is very different. For me, what I like to do is I actually bring in the ancestors immediately. So as I've talked about before, my tradition is very ancestor heavy. It is very much about the family line. So the ancestors are the very first that I call upon. I really call upon them to protect, watch over, and give power to the ritual. So there's a lot of things that they do. They probably are what I call upon the most in most of my rituals because I am a family tradition. So that would be the first. How you do that, there's a lot of different ways. You can just give a saying, holding your palms up and call upon them, or you could also be in an extended position, call upon them. You can also have different people in your ritual do different things. So somebody can call in the ancestors, somebody can call quarters, things like that. So after that is when I begin doing the quarter calling. So this is when I'm establishing the outer rim of the circle. So there's different ways to do this. One is to use an athame and to trace the outer edge of the circle. Another is to obviously sprinkle salted water. Another, you could be using a besom, and you can sweep the outer edge and get rid of that negative energy and build your circle. You can also have all of the ritual participants form the circle by saying something and holding on to each other's hands all along the circle. Each time they grab a hand, they have a different saying. Some traditions like to use, in perfect love, perfect trust. It's very Wiccan. But you could also do other things like by the ancestors, I build this circle, all of that. And so there's different ways in which you're going to create that perimeter, but that's the next step. So typically what I like to do if I am doing it on my own, as in not having the participants help me, if I'm going to lead it completely, I would use an athame. And so I begin in the east. That's always where I have begun. I have a strong connection with earth. I like to end in north. And so I will begin in the east. I begin in the east. I point to east, and that starts my circle. I say what I need to say at each quarter. Again, I'm not going to give the very specifics of what I say, but I will start in each quarter. I will call upon the elements. So some people call in different things. I've even heard so much as people calling on archangels that each are associated with different elements in the different quarter calls. So that's another way of doing it. I keep it to the elements. It's sort of the way that I do it. So I will start in the east, air, work my way to south, fire, work my way all the way to west, water, and then back up to north for earth, trace it around to link it with east, and then bring it back to the altar. From there, I will actually then light my god and goddess candles. So for me, I have different colors for my god and goddess candles. Some people use a solid color, white, black, whatever it might be. I have different colors that represent the god and the goddess. I will light their candles. Upon lighting their candle, I will then call upon them to help and join in. Now, depending on what I'm going to be asking them to do, I say different things. And that's really, I think, important to remember is that you need to tailor your circle to the ritual that you plan on doing. I consider casting a circle a pre-ritual in a way. I mean, it's a ritual in and of itself, but it really is sort of like the appetizer to the meal. You really need to set everything up in order to do your main ritual, whatever it might be. Casting a spell, full moon ceremony, it's a holiday ceremony, whatever it might be. But you need to kind of set your sacred space for that. And there's certain things to do. So casting the circle is a little like pre-ritual. And it has to then, in a way, set the stage for the ritual you're going to do. So if you are looking at just doing a full moon ritual, then you're not going to be asking to draw upon the energy of ancestors, the god and the goddess, so much. You're asking them to just be present and witness, because really what you're doing is honoring them. You're not actually doing a working. you are, in a way, it's like attending church. So you are doing a ritual to honor, and therefore you don't need to call upon them directly. You don't need them to be directly there giving you power and aiding you. You don't need to invoke them. You don't need to, bring their energy any more so than their presence and their protection and their oversight. You don't need them to really aid you in that ritual. They're just sort of observing you honoring them in a way. And so that makes a difference as to what you do when you call them in. And so I will typically call them in based on whatever I'm planning to do in the ritual. So I will call them in based on what I want them to do in the ritual. So after that, then typically what you would do is you would say the circle is cast. You would then acknowledge the circle is up. It lets everybody who's participating know, hey, the circle's there, don't walk through it. Now, if you need to cut a door, make sure that you are carefully selecting where you're going to have the door. Typically speaking, I like to have the door in the northeast section. I find that it's enough into air that you have an equal pass through, but it's also rooted enough into earth that it's very grounded. So that tends to be the section that I like to put a door in, but obviously you could put a door wherever you absolutely need to, but that's the preferred location. It is really important when casting a circle to make sure that you know where north, east, south, and west are. That's probably one of the biggest things. When you go into a new space, we don't always carry compasses on us unless we're planning on running a ritual. So, bring a compass, get a good compass. If you're going to be doing a lot of different rituals, it's one thing if you're just doing it in your house, because once you know it, then it's going to be the same every time. I mean, your polarities aren't going to change. Well, I guess that would be a bigger problem if that happened. So, but if you're going into public spaces and you're doing a ritual, it's going to be difficult to always know which way is north and which way, because you can't count on road stuff. No. So bring a compass, get a good compass that you know how to read. And if you don't know how to read it, you can always ask the place where you buy it. If you get, Dick's Sporting Goods or wherever it is that you're going to get a compass, ask the people there how to work it if you don't know. So yeah, that would be probably my most important thing. So the same thing when I'm closing out a circle, I'll do the same thing. So I will always begin with releasing the god and the goddess first. They're the busiest. I don't want to bug them. All of that. I will then go to each quarter. I will then release the quarters, release the elements, and then at the end I will I will venerate and thank the ancestors for their continual presence and their loving guidance and their protection during this time. And so then I will say the circle is down and we can be on our merry way at that point. So that is pretty much how I do a circle, folks. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the down bar below. If you haven't been following the politics, I guess, of the time, I am going to be filming tomorrow in New York City. I am going to the March for Bernie. So there'll be thousands of people out. Bernie is in Vatican City, so he won't be able to join us, but we do have some really awesome surprise guest speakers. If you are in the New York City area, come join us. The rally starts at 11 and the march starts at 1 at Foley Square. We're going down to Union Square. I'll be there loud and proud and marching for a future that I think that we all deserve. And I don't think we're going to get if it's not with Bernie. So that would be my little PSA for it. But if you're in the area, definitely come out. If you find me, oh my gosh, come say hi. Please don't be scared. If you ever see me out and about, come say hi and join in. And if not, check it out. Hashtag March for Bernie, and let's do this media thing for ourselves. So yeah, that will be about it. But I will be doing a vlog, and I'll post that on my my channel that's down below that you can find. I'll be posting the vlog from the day in a couple of days, probably on Sunday. And yeah, I will see you guys next week. And as always, blessed be.